आवाज मत कर वो चै चू 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 की करने देना यार फटाफट. I would say that the comfortable cruising speed is at 95 kilometers per hour. I would कहाँ से ले गए? This is Anand Pandey from BBC TopGear Mag India.
This is a Jawa 350.
करे? ऐसे नीचे होके बोलूं थोड़ा? ठीक है? And rideable, livable, whatever you might want to call it. It up. Keep it rolling, keep it rolling. Rolling है?
I've been waking up from the same nightmare, yeah, yeah. Where I'm stuck in place, breathing the same air, yeah, yeah. Hey, hey, I'm dreaming of a better day.
Now that is the sound of a new beating heart, of evolution if you will, because you see the land behind me might be barren, but the retro motorcycle segment in India, it certainly isn't. It is exactly the opposite. And to stay relevant in this particular segment, evolution, it plays a pivotal role. Classic Legends understands this, and that is the reason why we are here to witness the evolution of their most authentic retro motorcycle, the Jawa, which is now called the Jawa 350 and not the Jawa, thankfully. Now the Jawa 350 moniker might be a jab at other retro motorcycles which carry 350 moniker in their namesake, I believe. Now on the surface, it might look exactly the same as the model it replaces, but underneath, it is an all-new motorcycle. This is Anand Pandey from BBC TopGear Mag India. We are in run of Kutch to ride this gorgeous little motorcycle. Aesthetically, the Jawa 350, it remains India's most authentic retro motorcycle that you can get in this price bracket, because the design philosophy, the overall silhouette of the motorcycle, it still harkens back to the OG Jawa 250 as well as the 350. It might look exactly the same as the model that got launched around 5 years back, but that is on just top of the surface, because the body panels are improved by a fair margin, and so is the build quality. So be it the switchgear or the chrome finish or the paint finish, all the overall body panels, they are improved by a fair margin. It is also one of the only few Indian motorcycles to get such attention to detail, because there are some neat touches splattered all across the bodywork. When you start from the front, there's a neat chrome element out on the front fender. The instrument cluster, it is beautifully retro. Now the practicality, we'll get to that later on, but it is gorgeous to look at because the needle inside the instrument cluster, it is machine finish. As you move towards the back, there's since 1929 branding on the fuel lid and on the left hand side of the engine crankcase as well. The engine itself, it is painted, finished beautifully in chrome. As you move towards the seat, it is a ribbed unit, entirely new unit, so to say. And like I mentioned, all the improved body panels, they really leave a mark. And it is safe to say that the Jawa 350, it is a very, very big improvement over the Jawa that it replaces, at least in the build quality department. The Jawa 350, it is a good looking motorcycle. Here's the proof. Although I have a few major gripes with the aesthetics of the Jawa 350, because I believe the modern switchgear, it doesn't really go along well with the overall design philosophy of the motorcycle, which is authentically retro, like I've already mentioned. So the blacked out bits that you see here, they could have been replaced by aluminum bits to add to the retro appeal even more. And the instrument cluster, you cannot really see when you're clocking 60 to 100 kilometers per hour. To do the same, you'll have to crouch a little forward. Also, the mirrors, they start vibrating, so everything that you see behind, it is a mere blur after you cross 80 kilometers per hour. Now the biggest change in the Jawa 350 comes in the form of a new engine. Now it is the same 334cc engine that we have already seen and experienced in the Perak as well as the 42 bobber, but in the Jawa 350 it gets a different state of tune with different internals as well. So in the Jawa 350, the same engine, it now puts down 22.5 PS and 28 Newton meters of torque. As compared to the model that it replaces, the power, it is actually down by 4.5 PS, but the torque, it is actually up by 1.5 Newton meters, and even the torque, it arrives a little earlier in the rev range, making the Jawa 350 more tractable and livable. Now talking about the vibrations, I wasn't a big fan of the previous generation of Jawas in Yeezys because there was some sort of mechanical clatter that was associated with the engine. It was harsh, it wasn't smooth by a fair margin, but the Jawa 350, it is certainly impressed in that department because it is a major improvement when it comes to the NVH levels.
That being said, the vibrations aren't entirely non-existent as they make their presence felt higher up in the rev range. Up until 100 km per hour, the performance is brisk and the burst isn't bothersome at all. In fact, the smidget of vibrations add a bit of character to the overall experience. The focus here is on the low and mid-range as it should be on retro roadsters. I would say that the comfortable cruising speed is at 95 km per hour with the engine singing happily as there's enough grunt for quick overtakes. Gear shifts deserve a special mention here because the clutch action, it is light and the gear shifts have just the right amount of mechanical feedback. Jawa has also improved the cooling prowess of this classic motorcycle. Since it is a classic motorcycle, there are bound to be some quirks, right? And that happens when the exhaust misses out on a few beats and then starts singing again.
Since it is a generational upgrade for the classic Jawa, they have not only bestowed it with a bigger engine, they have kind of upgraded legit everything. So it gets wider tires, upgraded braking system, upgraded suspension components, more ground clearance, better seat for more comfort, and the works. And out in the real world, the implications are very, very real.
The riding stance is upright as it should be with the footrest being just slightly rear set and the handlebar being wide and nice. Not to forget, the cockpit view exudes heritage and legacy of Jawa motorcycles. Modern day Jawas have always handled better than most of their rivals and that continues with the 350 as well because of the added stability given the longer wheelbase, wider tires and revised chassis. The suspension setup aids to it as it is set slightly on the stiffer side. You do feel the bumps on road surfaces, but they don't throw you to the moon. It adds to the firmness needed for a confident ride. However, when there are undulations on the road, you need to slow down a little. A downshift or a tap on the brakes does the job, and that brings us to the upgraded braking performance. Addition of a rear disc brake and upgraded braking equipment make their presence felt when you wish to shed some speed.
It has been quite an experience riding the Jawa 350 in and around Kutch. I mean, the roads were narrow, but they were able to highlight all the strong points that a retro roadster should possess. So be it low-end grunt, rideability, riding dynamics, or retro looks, the Jawa 350 has certainly impressed us a lot. It is sort of a retrovolution. I've just coined a new term for the Jawa 350 because not only has it evolved by a fair margin, it has also preserved its retro legacy. I would go as far as saying that in its price segment, it is one of the best retro roadsters that you can get with authentic retro looks. Now I cannot wait to test it back home in Mumbai with other 350s. You know what I mean, right? Now this is Anand Pandey from BBC Top Gear Mag India signing off from what they call the road to heaven.